The Central Securities Clearing System PLC, the Central Securities Depository of Nigeria, held its maiden edition of its investor forum here at the Southern Sun Hotel, Ikoyi, Lagos. It was an opportunity for the management of the company to engage the investment community on an overview of its performance and how it has fared in its operations. The Managing Director and CEO of the CSCS PLC, Mr. Kyari Bukar, gave an insight into how the CSCS has fared in its operations and generally in its performance.
We are what is called an FMI that provides CSD services, which is Central Securities Depository. Another name for us, if you would like to call us that, is we are the CSD of the Nigeria capital market. CSD being the Central Securities Depository. We offer sub-registry services, basically for all equities, debt instruments, and exchange-traded products, except for the foreign federal government bonds and T-bills, which today there is a parallel CSD that has been floated by the central bank that is doing the federal government instruments. The equities transactions kind of came down. That's basically on the peak of 2006, 2007, and there has been a decline, and so the upturn basically happened, or the bottom was around 2012, and then we started picking out again. So last year we did 108 billion units of shares were exchanged, and the value being 1.3 trillion. Now, there is a quarterly numbers for the first quarter of 2015 at the bottom, but this basically means that we have the transactions will only continue to grow, and the way you cope with that level of growth is via technology and being creative and basically looking at your processes, but you still pay attention to security, risks, etc., etc. Okay. I will share this. I probably dwell a little bit on this chart, on this slide, because there are a number of lines, right? The first line that I would like you is the purple line that starts with 4.3, 4.2, up to 8.2. Those are numbers in billions. So again, if you look at 2011 as the year that this new management came in, from that number to 8.2, the revenue grew by over 90% in a space of 4 years. Now, in any highly efficient company, you should also pay attention not just to the revenue, but to the expenses. Now, if the expenses were to even remain flat, it would be a major achievement. But the expenses actually went down by about 7%.
Also speaking further at the Investor Forum, the Chief Financial Officer of the CSCS PLC, Mr. Vincent Ukoh, gave a 5-year overview of the financial performance of the company from 2010.
You will see that our total income had improved from 4.2 billion in 2010 to 8.17 billion in 2014. And except for 2011, there have been increases in 2012, 13, 14. 2015, my numbers may not be different from 2014, but I think that would be an improvement too. Interest income, as I mentioned, had contributed substantially to our bottom line from 529 in 2010 to a whopping 2.4 billion. But the interesting thing that you see in a later slide is that 97% of the 2.4 billion touches our bottom line, the profit before tax, all intact because they are tax exempt. Other operating income, we have had some disruptions in our operations. Some of the issues were in 2013, we remember the CBN took over the settlement of federal government bonds. That slightly impacted on our income on other operating line, but it's beginning to move up again because we are looking at other services within the market that will impact on the value to our shareholders. Something you don't have here, which I'll just mention, is that shareholders' funds have also increased from 11.7 billion naira in 2010 to 20.6 billion naira in 2014. And I think that is quite a substantial increase. So if prices have moved from 3 naira 50 kobo to about 5 naira 50 kobo, is because the value of shareholders is substantially going up.
For Mr. Kyari Bukar, the CEO of CSCS PLC, it has been a momentous growth and phenomenal performance for the CSCS PLC, which would spur it to do greater impact in this capital markets.
I do believe that we have shared our story with the investors and also charted historical and told them how we have progressed within a period of, say, 5 years. And the numbers actually speak to that. Of course, with a company, you can talk about all the other things, culture, values, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, the shareholders that have taken their hard-earned money and invested in the company would want to see results. And we have shared the results. Revenue over the last 5 years grew by about 92%. Meanwhile, expenses went down within those same 5-year period by 7%. That basically means that the company was quite efficiently run. Profits actually went up 4.6 times what it was 5 years back. So a profit of about 1 billion was declared in 2010. And in numbers, the profit level is around 4.6 billion. And so no matter which yardstick you use, whether it is expense to revenue ratios, earnings per share growth was about 268% earnings per share growth over that period. So no matter what yardstick you use, the company has, clearly done tremendously well.
Today, investors were able to raise questions and receive answers on the operations of the CSCS PLC. And being the maiden edition of this great company, which is a CSD for Nigeria, it is expected that there will be more further engagement with investors, hoping that this will bring more level of interaction that also affects capital market development.